Let's talk about mobile app testing. For a lot of teams, it's that last minute chore you gotta get through before you can launch, right? It's just a quality check. But what if that whole way of thinking is just plain wrong? We're gonna dig into why in 2025, testing isn't just a final step. It's probably the most important strategic move you can make for your app's survival.
Ah, yes, the classic. It works on my machine. We've all heard it. Let's be honest, we've probably all said it. And that one little sentence, it can feel like a relief, but man, it is a massive red flag. It's the sound of a bug report getting closed, sure, but it's also the sound of a giant, gaping blind spot. Because that's the real question, isn't it? Your phone isn't your user's phone. Your super fast office Wi-Fi is definitely not their network. Those perfect, clean conditions you test in are a fantasy compared to the real world where your app actually has to live. And the data on what happens out there, it's absolutely brutal.
88%. Just let that number sit there for a second. That's how many of your users will just abandon your app if they run into bugs or it feels slow. They're not going to complain. They're not going to file a support ticket. They're just going to delete it and move on. It's a silent killer for apps. And you think that's bad? It gets worse. If your app crashes just one time, you're looking at potentially losing 71% of those users. For good. One single crash. That is the razor-thin margin for error we're working with now. You just don't get second chances. Okay, so these numbers aren't just trivia. They're a huge warning sign. And that brings us to our first big idea, the high stakes of bugs. We've got to stop thinking about them as just little technical glitches. And this right here is the whole point. A bug today isn't just a bug. No way. It's a total deal breaker. It's a one-star review just waiting to be written. It costs you your reputation, it costs you your users, and it absolutely costs you cold, hard revenue. So in this world, cutting corners on testing isn't just a risk, it's like actively betting against your own success. But you might be asking, why is it so intense right now? What changed? Well, it turns out there are 4 huge tech trends that are basically rewriting all the rules and making serious testing an absolute must. And this table really lays out the perfect storm we're in. First up, AI and ML integration. You're not just testing if a button works anymore, you're testing if an algorithm is making a smart choice. Is your recommendation engine just a little slow, or is it showing completely bizarre products? That's a whole new kind of bug. Second, 5G and those variable networks. Your app needs to be amazing on a blazing fast connection, but it also can't just fall apart the second someone walks into an elevator. Third, and this one's a nightmare, device and OS fragmentation. Your app could be flawless on a Google Pixel, but a crashing mess on a Samsung, all because of the custom software they build on top of Android. It's a minefield. And finally, stricter security and privacy. A security hole isn't just a bug, it's a front-page news story waiting to happen, not to mention a massive legal headache. So, with all that crazy complexity, how are we supposed to deal with it? Well, we need a totally new way to think about testing. The old way of doing things just isn't going to cut it. This slide gets right to the heart of it. It's a huge mindset shift. In the past, testing was a pretty simple question. Does the feature work? Yes or no? Check the box. But today, the question is so much bigger. Is it fast? Is it a battery hog? Is it secure? Does it work on a 3-year-old phone? Can someone who's visually impaired actually use it? The whole definition of what working means has completely changed.
And this is what that new, bigger definition looks like in the real world. It's not one pillar, it's 7. You've got functional and UX to make sure it works and it feels good to use. Performance and resource checks for those silent killers like battery drain. Compatibility makes sure it doesn't break on that huge variety of devices we talked about. Security and privacy hunts for holes before the bad guys do. Accessibility and localization opens your app up to the whole world. Regression and automation is your safety net, making sure new stuff doesn't break old stuff. And finally, post-release monitoring is your spy out in the field, telling you what's really happening on your users' devices.
Okay, I know what some of you are probably thinking. Wow, this sounds expensive and complicated. But that's exactly the wrong way to look at it. We need to reframe this. Let's stop seeing testing as a cost and start seeing it as a major strategic advantage. So let me just ask you this. Can you, right now, say with 100% confidence that your app gives a stable, great experience to someone in Tokyo on an old Android phone and to someone in New York on the latest iPhone? If there's even a little bit of doubt in your mind, that's a huge business risk. And how about your speed? The best teams out there are shipping new updates constantly. But can you do that without that little voice in the back of your head, terrified that one tiny change is going to bring the whole house of cards down? Real confidence in your testing. That's what unlocks real speed in development. And finally, let's just put a price tag on it. Think back to your last big outage or that really nasty bug you had to fix. What did it actually cost you? Lost sales? A flood of support tickets? A wave of bad reviews? Damage to your brand? When you start to add it all up, you realize that investing in good testing isn't an expense, it's a bargain. All right, so let's get practical. How do you actually build a testing strategy that gives you that advantage? Let's walk through a playbook with clear, actionable steps you can start thinking about today. So let's build this playbook. 6 key moves. 1. Start testing way earlier, what we call shifting left. Get your developers and QA people talking from day 1. Don't wait till the end to find a huge problem. 2. Keep a device priority matrix. Look, you can't test on every phone on the planet, so don't even try. Use your data to find the top 20 or 30 devices your actual users have and focus on those. 3. You need a mix of manual, automation, and AI. Automation is great for the boring, repetitive stuff, but you still need a human to find those weird, quirky UX bugs, and new AI tools can help you predict where problems might pop up. Use all 3. 4. Use cloud real device farms. Emulators are okay, but they are not real. These cloud services let you test on thousands of actual, physical iPhones and Androids. It's a game changer. 5. Monitor performance in production. The lab is not the real world. You need tools that tell you about crashes, slowdowns, and battery drain from your live app. That's your best feedback loop. And 6. Keep your tests fresh. Don't let your automated tests get old and stale. If a test is always failing, or it's for a feature that's changed, it's just noise. Clean it up and keep it relevant. And here it is, a final gut check for your current process. Are you testing on real devices, not just pretending with emulators? Are you checking what happens when a user's network drops? Are you actually watching the battery and memory usage? Is security a real part of your testing or just an afterthought? If you're hesitating on any of these, you know exactly where you need to focus. So at the end of the day, here's what it all boils down to. User expectations are sky high, and the margin for error is basically 0. This means that rigorous, smart testing isn't a cost center. It's your insurance policy against disaster. It's what makes you stand out in a crowded market. And it's the very foundation of your brand's credibility. And that brings us to the final, unavoidable question. The flaws, the bugs, the vulnerabilities in your app, they already exist, right now. The only real question is, who's going to find them first? Is it going to be your team? Or is it going to be the users who just silently uninstall and never, ever come back? The choice is yours.